What's going on, guys? It's me, your boy, back after, I don't know, like a month. My upload schedule is not how I thought it was going to be. Anyways, today we're going to be looking at Tobey, Andrew, and Tom's Spider-Man movies. We're going to be ranking them from S to D to figure out which one is the best. All right, first up we got Spider-Man 1. Pretty sure everyone knows the story of Peter Parker and the story of Spider-Man 1, but for like the 3 people that don't, let me explain. Pretty much what follows is Peter Parker, this weird nerdy kid from school, goes on a field trip, gets bit by a spider, goes to bed instead of going to the hospital. By the way, all 3 of these Spider-Men, any spider person, by the way, gets bit by a radioactive spider. And instead of going to the hospital or asking someone if the spider is poisonous, what do? They just go to bed. What? He goes to bed, he wakes up, kicks Uncle Ben in the face, goes to school, kills Uncle Ben, kind of, maybe, I don't know, hunts down the guy that killed Uncle Ben, kills that guy, which is surprising. Then he becomes Spider-Man. He goes, stops Green Goblin, kissed by MJ, and his buddy says that he's going to kill him. So, you know, all around a great movie. This movie is really great. And I mean, like, it really shaped how we see superhero movies, especially back in the early 2000s. And for that alone, not even counting this character and the stories and the British MA, for whatever reason they made her British, probably because the actress is British. I don't care enough to do research. Hey, future me, put up right here. Is she British? All right, here's your answer. It has to be A tier. Next up, we got Spider-Man 2. In this movie, we're back with Peter Parker. That's right, baby. Back with Peter Parker. We do a
pizza time.
And we're right into the action. We got him dealing with work. Got him dealing with MJ and his relationships. We got him dealing with Spider-Man. How that's affecting him mentally between Uncle Ben and Norman Osborn, who we saw as a father figure after Ben died. And then he killed him. Technically, the very big gray area. I mean, he jumped over the glider. He could have stopped the glider. I can say that he could have stopped the glider. I'm just saying. He's dealing with the death of Uncle Ben and Norman Osborn. He's dealing with his relationship between Harry and Spider-Man and MJ, and it's all just very confusing. And he starts to lose his powers, which is honestly, I think, the best part about the movie. I really like the fact that he loses his powers and that's really conflicting for him of everything going on. Then we're introduced to Dr. Otto Octavius, who is Doc Ock. Dr. Octopus. He's got 8 arms, 8 limbs, I guess, because he technically only has the 4 mechanical arms, his 2 actual arms, and then 2 legs. Doc Ock is trying to get
the power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
And then the chip malfunctions in his neck. His arms now control him instead of him controlling the arms. He goes, robs bank for money. And then Spider-Man's up, saves the day, kills Doc Ock. How can I just say how convenient it is that almost every single one of Peter's villains in the first 3 Raimi movies die after they find out his identity. Norman died, Otto died, Eddie died, Harry died. The only one that didn't die is Sandman. He's just gone. This movie, I have to say, is a lot better than the first one. I really like Doc Ock as a character. Alfred Milano just nailed it. And he nails it again in No Way Home. I'll get to that later, don't worry. And for that, I have to say that this movie is S tier. I love this movie. Spider-Man 3, which is a movie that happened. I think I can say for everyone, almost everyone, that this movie is not as good as the other 2. It is not a very good movie. You know, it's got stuff like this. Which is something that happened. Anyways, an alien symbiote crash lands on the Earth, hits a ride on Peter's bike, that fucking freeloader. Peter and MJ get into troubles. They find out that Sandman was actually the one that killed Peter's uncle, which I don't really like. I think they only made that as a reason for Peter to get mad again, so that way he'd get the black suit, so he'd go after him. But like, I don't know, to me it just kind of feels lazy. Peter realizes, Peter gets a black suit on, and he realizes the black suit is turning him into a bad person because he straight up tried to murder Sandman. He shoved his face against a train. It's crazy. That's not something a hero does. It's something a bad guy does. He tried to murder the guy. So he goes to the church where Eddie is, praying to God to kill Peter Parker.
For one thing, want you to kill Peter Parker.
Then he's hitting the bell, ripping the symbiote off. He gets on Eddie. Then Eddie kidnaps MJ. You know, American patriotism and a boner joke later. And Eddie fucking dies. He gets blown up due to a Harry Osborn's bomb. By the way, Harry was there. He also died. Rip in peace. And then Sandman fucks off. And then Peter's just doing whatever Peter does now. That's the end of the movie. It was something. That was a fever dream of a movie, in my opinion. And I mean, Sam Raimi didn't even want the symbiote in the movie to begin with. He hates that movie. And it's not a great movie either. For that, I have to say it's D tier. It's just not good. The Amazing Spider-Man. This movie is actually pretty good. A lot of people hate on the Andrew movies, but not as bad as people think. The second one is not good, but the first one is actually pretty good. Again, another origin movie. Peter Parker gets hit in the face with a basketball, even though it clearly made a dodgeball sound. Finds out his dad worked at Oscorp with Kurt Connors. He goes to Oscorp, talks to Kurt Connors, breaks into a secret lab, gets a spider on his neck, gets bit by the spider, goes home, goes to bed, wakes up, breaks everything in his house, goes to school, gets back at his bully, even though he shouldn't know. Uncle Ben gets him a date. He starts testing out his powers. He goes home. Uncle Ben is mad at him, and Uncle Ben dies. Rip in peace. You a real one. Peter suits up as Spider-Man, hunting down any long, blonde-haired guy just to see if they have a tattoo on his left hand, because that's the guy that killed Uncle Ben. And then when the lizard attacks, Kurt Connors, when the lizard attacks a bridge full of innocent people, he realizes that he has to save the day. He can't just go out there and start beating up the same kind of criminals. Like, he has a vendetta. He has to actually be a hero, which is cool. And then Lizard starts creating more lizard formula, breaks into the school. Spider-Man throws Gwen out the window, but catches her this time. Don't worry, that won't happen again. Then goes underground, starts climbing Oscorp Tower to turn everyone to lizards. Don't really know why he wants to do that. Spider-Man goes up there. Captain Stacy goes up there, who was Gwen's father. They team up. Gwen Stacy dies. Nope. Captain Stacy dies. Spider-Man cries over it, promises to not put Gwen in the line of danger again. That didn't really work out. Overall, this movie was a lot of fun, and I don't think it deserves the kind of hate that it gets. I'd have to say it's probably B tier. It's not great, but it's also not terrible. So, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is another movie that happened. It follows Peter Parker not keeping the promise that he made to Captain Stacy. In the very beginning is fighting Rhino. Although he's not Rhino yet, but he is chasing down criminals who stole plutonium. I think it's plutonium, which is highly explosive. And what does he do for the first 5 to 10 minutes? Just talks to the people. Doesn't try to do anything, just making jokes, not trying to stop them. Spider-Man normally makes jokes and stops the criminals at the same time. He's not doing it here, which is a big problem I have with it. So that's already a point off. He goes to graduation, graduates, gets kissed by Gwen, goes to dinner with Gwen, but doesn't really go to dinner with Gwen. They break up. It's complicated. He starts stalking her. Harry Osborn comes back to town. His dad dies. He finds out he has a disease. He's dying. Kind of cringe. Then Max Dillon, a guy that Spider-Man saved while not stopping the criminals. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Max. He has to stay back and fix an electrical problem. And he plugs him in, falls into a vat of eels with a live wire, which for some reason turns his skin blue, and him ability to control electricity. I don't know why, but I'm not the writer. He goes to Times Square, starts messing things up on accident. He doesn't really mean to do all this. Peter tries talking to him. The cops shoot him. All hell breaks loose. He gets caught. Yada, yada, yada. Harry, who's currently dying, calls up Peter and is like, "Hey, you know Spider-Man, right? Can I get some of his blood?" He goes the next day to meet up with him to tell him, "No, you can't have my blood. It could kill you or something worse." And Harry's like, No, I want it. Then he goes, frees Electro. They go to a power plant. Electro fucking explodes. Harry comes down, kidnaps Gwen, throws her down. Peter doesn't catch her this time. And Harry gets caught. And then Peter retires Spider-Man. Until he watches Gwen Stacy's graduation speech. And he goes back. After 5 months, he didn't think of doing this. Just enough time to save a child. And that's the movie. They were teasing Sinister Six, which never happened, unfortunately, because I would really like to actually see a Sinister Six We kind of got something in No Way Home, but I'll talk about that more when I actually get to that movie. Anyways, this movie wasn't as good as the first one. The suit was much better, and the swinging and visuals were also top tier. But the actual storytelling of the movie just wasn't great. It was lackluster in of itself. It felt like the same issue with Spider-Man 3. It kind of felt rushed a bit, which is not really something you want from a movie, but you know, for that I have to say it's D tier. Spider-Man Homecoming, which is I think my second favorite of the Tom movies. This one follows Peter Parker, but this time it's not really an origin story. It's more like a coming of age story and him just kind of trying to make it through because he already has spider powers and he's been Spider-Man for a few months, so no dead Uncle Ben. Thank God. So it follows Peter Parker and his best friend Ned, who finds out that he's Spider-Man, trying to stop. Well, Peter is just doing low-level, like, little crimes, little thefts, because he's trying to be part of the Avengers, which is a big issue that I have with the Tom movies, is that in the first two at least, he is stuck in Iron Man's shadow, and Spider-Man as a character is independent. He's independent, so I don't really like the fact that he relies so much on Iron Man in these movies. I mean, he got his superhero suit from Iron Man in Civil War, which is like, I kind of like when Peter comes up with his own suit, you know, like Toby came up with his suit, Andrew came up with his suit, but like, I don't know, it's just a thing I got. Peter goes to a party, Peter's stopping low-level crimes, and he goes to a party where Spider-Man's supposed to swing in and say everything. So he goes to the rooftop, gets changed, and then boom, an explosion. The guy selling guns, illegal weapons, not really guns, more like weapons of mass destruction, but you know, we got Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, sick cameo, as Aaron Davis, which they haven't really touched upon yet. They might in Spider-Man 4. I don't know what that movie is going to have. You know, he finds out about the Vulture. The Vulture takes him up, drops him down. Iron Man comes in, tells him there's a heater in his suit. Fun little cameo, I guess. Peter goes off, hunts those guys down, gets locked in a storage unit overnight. Or at least until he breaks out of it. Climbs up the Washington Monument, breaks in, saves his teammates, saves his classmates, almost gets a kiss like Tobey Maguire style, but doesn't. Goes home, he's on the ferry, tries to stop another deal. The FBI is there, he causes more destruction, the boat gets split in half, he starts to pull it together, and then Iron Man shows up, saves the day, takes the suit away from Peter, which is like, okay, I guess. Takes the suit away from Peter. Peter goes back to his original homemade suit, which is a disgusting looking suit, in my opinion. Goes, attacks Vulture, building drops on him, cool little comic reference. Then goes, saves the day, beats him up, saves the day. Boom, movie over. This movie was a lot of fun. I like Tom as Spider-Man. I don't like the direction they kind of put his Spider-Man into. It was a lot of fun. I really like this movie. It was fun. I like, you know, it had great visuals. The swinging wasn't as good as TASM, but you know, that had amazing swinging. So what do you want from me? Overall, this movie was really good, really fun, great acting, great stunt performance, great visuals. A tier. Spider-Man Far From Home, which is my least favorite of the Tom movies, but I'll get more into that in a bit. This one, Peter Parker is going to Europe for a school trip. And Aunt May throws a banana at him, tells him, your Peter Tingle isn't working. I hate the fact they call it a Peter Tingle. It's just a little thing that bothers me. I don't know why it bothers me. Every single other iteration is called a Spidey Sense. And it's just, I don't know. Anyways, he goes to Europe. Aunt May packs a spider suit, which is the dumbest move ever, by the way, Aunt May. Because it's like, sure, what if something bad happens in Europe? But like, people are gonna know that he's Spider-Man because he's on a trip to Europe with them. Everyone's gonna know that. He goes to Europe. Bad things happen. Who would have guessed? Mysterio shows up to save the day, who is not as he seems, as his name might suggest. You know, he shows up, saves the day. We find out that's not true later on. And then his field trip starts going awry. Because Nick Fury is now in control of where the field trip goes because he wants Peter to fight these things for him. And Peter's like, I'm not going to do it because everyone's going to know I'm Spider-Man because my aunt picked my fucking suit and I'll have a different suit to wear. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. And then gives him this suit, which doesn't really look like Spider-Man. The only thing that it does is really the eyes. But I mean, that's the point. And it's not a bad suit overall. I think it's a really cool stealth suit. Check out my Peter video for more info on that. Fights the guys, goes to a fake bar, gives Mysterio the Edith glasses, which are weapons in of themselves. They control satellites that put down drones, murder drones, that Peter already knows about because he fought him on the bus, and just gives them to a guy he barely knows. What? Peter Parker would never do that. Anyways, he gives him the glasses. Then he finds out that Mysterio isn't really who he says he is, and that he wanted the Edith drones to cause an Avengers level threat that he could stop, so everyone would think that he's the hero. So he does that over in London. Peter stops him, Mysterio dies, but before he died, he made a little video that I never saw him do. I never saw him make, even though I watched him die. That Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so that just ruins everything for Peter. That Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Boom, end of movie. This movie, while still being fun to watch and overall still have great visuals and a good story, it just, a lot of the stuff that Peter does in it just doesn't really feel like Spider-Man. Now I get that he's trying to be more like Peter and stuff like that, but I just can't accept the fact that he would go off and just give the Edith glasses to Mysterio. I don't know. Overall, this movie isn't as great as the other two. I'd have to say it's like C tier. Spider-Man No Way Home, which is a masterpiece of a movie. This movie follows Peter Parker, Spider-Man, who just got outed as her last movie. Follows him trying to live life. He goes to school, everyone's judging him. People threw milkshake at him. His suit gets turned inside out, which I don't know why they would add that to the fucking Insomniac games. It's just an inside out version of the suit. Anyways, my point being, then he goes to Doctor Strange for help. He tries to make a spell where people will forget that he's Spider-Man. But then he starts tampering with the spell, saying, oh, but I want MJ to know, I want Ned to know, I want Aunt May to know, I want, yada, 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 yada. So it fucks up the spell. It opens interdimensional rifts across a multiverse. It brings in Sandman, Electro, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, the Lizard, the 5 main villains. They could have brought in one more to make a Sinister Six, but that's a story for a different time. So Green Goblin goes and hangs out with Peter for a bit, and everything like that, trying to figure out what's going on. And then Green Goblin resorts back to Green Goblinisms and kills Aunt May. Then they go to the Statue of Liberty where all the villains have gathered together to fight the Spider People. Unbeknownst to them, the 3 Spider-Men have created cures for that exact problem, except for Tom. Well, they created a cure for Green Goblin, but Tom wants to kill him. And I don't really blame him. He murdered Aunt May in cold blood. So they get into a big fight. Sandman gets cured. Doc Ock gets cured. He got cured, I think, before that, but Electro gets cured. Lizard gets cured. And now it's just Green Goblin. And then get to a big fight. Tom is fighting Green Goblin. They're fighting, they're pounding. Tom's not holding back. No, he's leaving dents in the thing. And then, as he's going to go kill him, Tobey Maguire comes in. He's like, "You can't do that. You're Spider-Man. Be better." And Tom is like, "Oh, shit, you're right." He saves him. He cures him. And they all go back to their home dimensions. And it ends with everyone forgetting who Peter Parker is. Not just the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. No one knows about Peter Parker. That's where they end it until Spider-Man 4 comes out. This movie was amazing. It was awesome. I love this movie. It is S tier. S tier all the way. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me on that. This movie was great. And I wonder what they're going to do for Spider-Man 4, because Tom said that he only is going to do Spider-Man 4 if he can top the 3rd movie, which he already agreed to do the movie, so that's it. I got another video coming out, I think either a bit later today or tomorrow, I'm doing an update video on the Spider-Man suits, because Spider-Man 2 got an update of brand new suits for DLC, so be expected out for that. Anyways, see you guys.